Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurates 125 BRO infrastructure projects in Ladakh, calls it a major achievement for BRO and centers unwavering commitment to strengthening border infrastructure. India's air service regulator DGCA issues show-cause notice to IndiGo CEO and its accountable manager over flight chaos, says reply within 24 hours. 25 dead in fire at a club in Goa. FIR lodged against owner and general manager of the club. Magisterial probe also ordered. Hong Kong votes in legislative election today amid anger over deadly fire. And in Hockey Junior World Cup, India to play against 7-time champions and title holders Germany in the semi-final clash in Chennai. Let's begin with an update on the tragic incident that occurred at a club in North Goa when the death toll has risen to 25 people in a fire incident that broke out at a club on late Saturday night. According to the police, fire took place at a club at Baga Beach, one of the most popular beaches in the coastal state. The fire is suspected to have been caused by a cylinder blast around midnight, said the police officials. Several fire tenders were rushed to the spot and rescue operators were working until early Sunday morning. Police said that they believe a majority of the dead are staff employed at the club, including some tourists. Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant termed the incident a serious setback for the state and said that strict action would follow. He also ordered a magisterial inquiry into the incident.
गोवा के टूरिज्म हिस्ट्री में पहली बार इस तरह के जो आरपोरा में लगे आग की दुर्घटना बहुत बड़ी दुर्घटना है। 25 लोगों की डेथ इसमें हो गई है। अप्रॉक्सीमेटली रात को 12 बजे ये इंसिडेंस हुआ। मैं खुद घटनास्थल पर रात को 1:30-2 बजे मैं पहुंचा। मैंने जाने के बाद मैंने वहां पे पूरी मेरे साथ में हमारे लोकल एमएलए माइकल लोबो वो भी थे, डीजीपी से लेके बाकी सभी पुलिस अधिकारी, फायर कलेक्टर्स, डेप्यूटी कलेक्टर्स, ये भी लोग वहां पे मौजूद थे। यानी विद इन हाफ एन आवर में आग तो बुझाई, लेकिन जिस क्लब में ये आग की दुर्घटना हुई, जो लोग वहां पे थे, कुछ लोग बाहर आ सके, लेकिन बाकी लोगों को बाहर आने के लिए नहीं मिला और यानी सफोकेशन की वजह से यानी उस लोगों की मौत हो गई। अभी प्रिलिमिनरी पता चला है, उससे 4 लोग वो टूरिस्ट हैं, बाकी लोग उस क्लब के यानी कर्मचारी थे। मैं उनकी जो मौत हो गई है उनके प्रति मैं दुख व्यक्त करता हूं, उनके फैमिली के प्रति संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं, उनकी आत्मा को शांति मिले और सरकार की तरफ से उनको आर्थिक मदद दी जाएगी। 6 लोग जो अस्पताल में हैं उनके लिए अच्छी से अच्छी ट्रीटमेंट गोवा मेडिकल कॉलेज में दी जा रही है। मैंने खुद होके गोवा मेडिकल कॉलेज के डीन उनसे बात की है और उनको अच्छी तरह से ट्रीटमेंट मिलेगी। इस पूरे इंसिडेंट की मैजिस्ट्रियल इंक्वायरी हमने बिठाई है, क्योंकि जो प्रेजेंट क्लब था उसके लिए कौन कौन सी परमिशन थी और किसने परमिशन दी थी, उसकी पूरी इंक्वायरी की जाएगी।
President Draupadi Murmu also expressed grief over the loss of lives in the fire incident that occurred at a club in North Goa. Sharing a post on social media platform X, she wrote, and I quote, "Deeply pained by the tragic fire incident in North Goa district resulting in the loss of precious lives. My heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families. May they find strength during this difficult time. I pray for the speedy recovery of those injured." Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condoled the loss of lives in the mishap in Arpora, Goa. Prime Minister Modi also wished speedy recovery for those injured in the mishap. The Prime Minister posted on X, and I quote him, "The fire mishap in Arpora, Goa is deeply saddening. My thoughts are with all those who have lost their loved ones. May the injured recover at the earliest." Spoke to Goa Chief Minister Dr. Pramod Sawantji about the situation. The state government is providing all possible assistance to those affected. And I unquote. An ex-gratia of ₹2 lakh from Prime Minister's National Relief Fund to the next of the kin of each deceased has been announced. The injured would be given ₹50,000. All right, to get us more updates, Cancel Rodriguez joins us live from Goa on phone line. Cancel, good afternoon. We've told our viewers about the latest developments. 25 people are reported to be dead after this incident. What more can you add?
As far as further information to be given about this incident, the North Goa District Disaster Management Authority has already released a list of essential emergency contact numbers for public assistance, monitoring and incident reporting. Now, some of the family members of those who have died in this incident have already started reaching at the hospital of Goa Medical College Hospital in Goa. Today morning, even some of the political figures reached at the hospital, paid their visit to those who were injured and all. Even the Goa governor, the tourism minister, the leader of opposition, they also visited. And even as far as the hospital has released a statement by the Health Secretary Yatindra Maralkar, 5 survivors of the Apara nightclub fire undergoing treatment for burn injuries. 4 men with 12 burn injuries recovering well. And a 20-year-old woman with 29 burns is reported stable. This was a health bulletin which was released by the Health Secretary Yatindra Maralkar from Goa Medical College Hospital. And as far as the other issues are concerned, the doctors are still looking at the recovery of those who are injured, while the family members of those who have lost their lives are still coming here, because most of them are believed to be outsiders who used to work in Goa, in this nightclub also. And, some of them are young men, young youth. And a third part is also to be reported is that 2 brothers from a single family have lost their lives in this incident. And that too another one, a neighbor of that same family. That was the third part of this incident.
All right, Cancel. Now, this spot, in fact, was popular among the tourists. The club was popular among the tourists. Do we also know about any damage being felt by the adjoining properties? What is the status of that?
As far as the thing is that the area has been cordoned off by police. There has been a strict vigilance being taken. Nobody is allowed to enter because investigation is in progress. So it has been difficult because those areas are completely covered. So it is difficult to move around outside.
All right, Cancel, also update us on the investigations that are currently underway. Have any arrests or have any FIRs being made?
At the moment,
FIRs being filed?
We have spoken to the police officials. They are saying investigation is in process, and whatever latest updates they will verify it. They have told the press media the investigation is on. Their first priority is to identify those bodies, and their first priority is to inform their family members of the concerns who have lost their lives. So they have been doing that thing.
All right, Cancel, also we tell our viewers that the probable reason for the tragedy was bursting of a cylinder. Do we also know the magnitude of the damage that has been evaluated or that has been seen at the site?
At the moment, we also try to verify the magnitude. We also try to verify. But the thing is that the police officials have been strict on all these issues. And they have informed us that they will come out with a clear message or clear press briefing on all this incident at the right time.
And has the club management also come out with any kind of official statement?
Not yet. Nobody is trying to give any comment on this, because the incident is like 23 people dying and all. This is a big incident which has happened in Goa in the recent years. We can tell you.
All right, Cancel, for the benefit of our viewers, just help us understand the location of the club, and also, this is a popular club among the tourists there. Let us know more about the club there, its existence, and the properties in its vicinity.
Well, the issue is that when you talk about Kalangut Beach or Arpara, Anjuna, in North Goa, these are the famous spots for tourists.
Yes.
And these are the areas which are always full. You can say it's like the tourists, basically who comes to Goa would love to go to Kandolim, Arpara, Kalangut and all. So that's why here you can see flock of tourists who visit here. And that's why it is always a popular destination. Therefore, huge amount of tourists come here every year. And now it's December. It's a Christmas season. And in Christmas season, Goa gets a lot of tourists. That's why these are popular destinations. And therefore, everyone needs to be very careful about this thing.
All right, Cancel, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in. That was our correspondent, Cancel Rodrigues, telling us more about the tragedy that struck a club in Goa. The investigations are underway and we'll keep you posted. Meanwhile, let's turn focus to other updates. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurated 125 infrastructure and connectivity projects constructed by the Border Roads Organization in Ladakh on Sunday. Constructed across 7 states and 2 union territories, these projects include the crucial Shyok Tunnel on the Darbuk-Shyok Dwalt Beg Oldie Road in Ladakh. Speaking at the event, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh spoke about the achievement of the Border Roads Organization while highlighting the resolve of the government to strengthen the border infrastructure.
इतनी बड़ी संख्या में यानी 125 इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स का उद्घाटन एक साथ आज तक कभी नहीं हुआ है। तो यह अपने आप में बीआरओ के लिए और हम सबके लिए मैं मानता हूं एक मेजर अचीवमेंट है। और यह अचीवमेंट एक तरफ तो विकसित भारत के संकल्प का प्रमाण है, तो वहीं दूसरी तरफ यह प्रोजेक्ट्स बॉर्डर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को मजबूत करने की हमारी सरकार की अनवेवरिंग कमिटमेंट की भी एक सजीव उदाहरण है।
The Defence Minister also spoke about the crucial Shyok Tunnel project, which will ensure all-weather connectivity in difficult but strategic terrains of Ladakh.
साथियों, आज का दिन इसलिए भी विशेष महत्व रखता है क्योंकि आज लद्दाख में ही दारबुक-श्योक दौलत बेग ओल्डी रोड पर निर्मित 920 मीटर लंबे श्योक टनल का भी उद्घाटन हुआ है। दुनिया के सबसे कठिन और चुनौतीपूर्ण टेरेन्स में निर्मित यह इंजीनियरिंग मार्वल लद्दाख जैसे स्ट्रेटेजिक एरिया में ऑल वेदर रिलायबल कनेक्टिविटी इंश्योर करेगा।
You're watching DD India News Hour, waiting for a short break. But after the break, Ukrainian President Zelensky signals progress in talks with US on the peace plan. Drone strikes at Sudan kindergarten, hospital kill dozens. And Sri Lanka issues landslide warnings as cyclone toll hits 618.
Open your mind to a whole new world. Explore mystic wonders of nature in the forests.
तो मुझे देख के आपको लग रहा है कि मुझे इसी वाला देना चाहिए।
Uncover secrets hidden deep inside the earth.
And I'd always heard of this ancient Shiv Mandir which is inside a cave.
Experience the rich cultural legacy.
मुझे बताइए इस डांस फॉर्म के बारे में, इस आर्ट फॉर्म के बारे में।
Experience the blend of vibrant warmth and stunning creations.
अरे it fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Jharkhand. Let it become a part of you. Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get you more updates. 3 days of talks between Ukrainian and US officials produced new apparent breakthrough on Saturday, with President Volodymyr Zelensky committing to further negotiations towards real peace. Zelensky said that he joined his negotiators for a very substantive and constructive call with US envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner as part of the third day of meetings in Florida. In a post on X, Zelensky said that Ukraine is determined to keep working in good faith with the American side to genuinely achieve peace. I quote, "We agreed on the next steps and formats for talks with the United States." Witkoff and Jared Kushner held 2 days of talks with Ukraine's senior negotiator Rustem Umarev in Miami this week, which both sides called constructive discussions on advancing a credible pathway towards a durable and just peace in Ukraine. Witkoff is also expected to brief Umarev on his meeting in Moscow this week with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Meanwhile, the leaders of French, British, German Troika will meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky in London on Monday to take stock of the ongoing US-led negotiations. In a post on X, French President Macron said that he will meet Zelensky. British Prime Minister Starmer and German Chancellor Merz also put forth this. He made the announcement on Saturday as Ukrainian and US officials were holding a third straight day of talks in Miami to discuss a plan to end the nearly 4-year conflict. US troops were seen coming ashore in Puerto Rico amidst a US military buildup in the Caribbean. The ongoing buildup comes after months of US pressure on Venezuela, including strikes against alleged drug smuggling boats, threats of military action, and the designation of Cartel de los Sols as a foreign terrorist group. US soldiers and military equipment were seen coming off a military ship in Ponce on Saturday. They are expected to be stationed in Camp Santiago, where military exercises are taking place. US Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said that he would have made the same call in ordering a controversial follow-up strike on suspected drug boat in the Caribbean that killed survivors. Hegseth, who made the comments while speaking to a defense industry forum, reiterated his claim that he was not present for the duration of the military operation. The strike on 2nd of September by the US military struck a vessel in the Caribbean, killing 11 suspected drug traffickers. The initial strike left survivors who were killed in a subsequent strike, prompting critics to ask whether the operation violated laws and whether US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was responsible for it.
The president has designated these as terror organizations, poisoning and threatening the American people, making them a target just like Al-Qaeda. I would have made the same call myself. In this particular case, it was well within the authorities of Admiral Bradley, who's an incredible American, an American hero, and the 22 or 23 strikes since have followed the similar protocol of ensuring we meet the criteria. The decision's not at my level anymore, and then we take the strike.
The United States has unveiled its National Security Strategy 2025, highlighting the Indo-Pacific as a central arena for global security and geopolitics. The document positions India as a rising security provider, urges closer ties to boost its role, and emphasizes stronger Quad cooperation. The U.S. strategy takes a sharply critical stance on China and stresses deterrence over Taiwan. The document also warns of challenges in Europe and signals a renowned Monroe Doctrine to reinforce U.S. influence in the West. DD India's Nishchay Roy reports on this.
The United States laid out its vision for a changing world, one where power is shifting, competition is intensifying, and the Indo-Pacific stands at the heart of global stakes. The White House released its National Security Strategy 2025, calling the Indo-Pacific the world's prime strategic arena. The document positions India as a rising security provider, stressing that US must continue to improve commercial and other relations with New Delhi to encourage India's contribution to Indo-Pacific. The document designates India as a critical partner, especially in countering what it calls predatory economic practices in the region. It stresses stronger Quad cooperation with India, Australia, and Japan. The strategy underscores joint efforts with India Europe, and Asian partners to bolster US positions in the Western Hemisphere and Africa's emerging critical minerals ecosystem. The US strategy takes a sharply critical tone on China, arguing that President Trump single handedly reversed decades of mistaken US assumptions. It stresses the need to deter conflict over Taiwan and reaffirms America's commitment to maintain military overmatch to prevent any attempt to alter the status quo by force. The strategy document warns of civilizational erasure in Europe and urges caution on NATO expansion. It also says the US will reassert the Monroe Doctrine to restore its influence in Western Hemisphere. Responding to the document's sharper tone, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaya Kalas told the Doha Forum that US remains Europe's key ally, downplaying concerns over criticism.
U.S. is still our biggest ally, and there I read it as well that we are still the biggest ally, and it's in the interest of the United States as well that Europe lasts, and that we are really still the ally and working together for these things. I think we haven't always seen eye to eye on different topics, but I think the overall principle is still there. We are the biggest allies and we should stick together.
With the Indo-Pacific set to shape the 21st century, the strategy calls it a key economic and geopolitical battleground. Nishoy Roy's report for DD India.
The Venezuelan army swore in 5,600 new soldiers on Saturday as the United States cranks up military pressure on the oil-producing country. President Nicolas Maduro has called for stepped-up military recruitment as the United States deployed a fleet of warships and the world's largest aircraft carrier to the Caribbean under the pretext of combating drug trafficking. American forces had earlier carried out deadly strikes on at least 22 vessels, killing at least 83. Washington has accused Maduro of leading the alleged cartel of the Suns, which it declared a terrorist organization last month. Maduro asserts the American deployment aims to overthrow him and seize the country's oil reserves. Colonel Gabriel has said that that under no circumstances they will allow an invasion by an imperialist force. According to official figures, Venezuela has 200,000 troops and an additional 200,000 police officers. Hundreds of Cubans gathered in Havana to condemn the United States policy towards Venezuela, waving flags and chanting slogans in support of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Participants displayed banners reading, "Venezuela is not a threat, Venezuela is hope." Venezuelan ambassador to Cuba, Orlando Minero, thanked Cuba for its solidarity and denounced what he called U.S. aggression against Venezuela's sovereignty. The event in Havana took place as Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado called for a global march for peace and freedom in Venezuela on the same day, with participants in various countries protesting against Maduro's regime. The Cuban rally, seen as a counter-event, reaffirmed support for the Venezuelan government and criticized U.S. policy towards the region. The rally took place following months of U.S. pressure on Venezuela, including strikes against alleged drug smuggling boats, threats of military action, and the designation of cartel de los Sols as a foreign terrorist group. In Mexico, hundreds of thousands of people gathered in the capital, Mexico City, on Saturday to support President Claudia Sheinbaum as the leftist leader sought to demonstrate her continued popularity following a month of political pushback and major protests. Authorities said around 600,000 people gathered in Mexico City's Zocalo, the main square home to the National Palace where Sheinbaum lives and works. They chanted, "You are not alone," and "Claudia, listen, the people are in the fight." The killing of Mayor Carlos Manzo in restive Michoacan state had sparked 2 days of demonstrations in November, with protesters setting fire to public buildings. Weeks later, thousands marched through the streets of Mexico City to protest drug violence and the government's security policies. That was followed by abrupt departure of the country's Attorney General, Alejandro Gertz, in late November over reported disagreements with Sheinbaum's administration on crime policy. She took office in 2024 following the 6-year tenure of Andrés Manuel López Obrador, with both leaders representing the left-wing Morena party. Though Sheinbaum has earned high approval ratings in her first year, they dipped slightly in the recent months from 74% in October to 71% in early December, according to Polls MX survey summary. Tunisians took to the streets on Saturday for a third straight week to protest against President Kais Saied's expanding crackdown on the opposition, critics and the NGOs, urging the release of political prisoners. Protests against Saied are growing as rights groups accuse him of using the judiciary and police to suppress opponents and to cement an autocratic one-man rule. Last week, an appeals court handed jail terms of up to 45 years of dozens of opposition leaders, business people and also lawyers on charges of conspiracy to overthrow Saied in what critics said was a sign of increasingly authoritarian rule. Protesters from across the political spectrum carried banners reading "Opposition not a crime, Free Tunisia," and also held up pictures of dozens of detained leaders and activists. A drone attack by a Sudanese paramilitary force hit a kindergarten in south-central Sudan, killing 50 people, including 33 children. UN had warned against atrocities in Kordofan. Paramedics on the scene in the town of Kalogi in South Kordofan state were targeted in a second unexpected attack, Sudan Doctors Network said in a statement. The authorities condemned the attack, blaming the paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces or the RSF, for the strikes, calling them a flagrant violation of international humanitarian law, including the protection of civilians, especially the children, and vital civilian infrastructure. The death toll is expected to be higher, but communication blackouts in the area have made it difficult to report casualties. UNICEF urges all parties to stop these attacks immediately and allow safe, unhindered access for humanitarian assistance to reach those in desperate need. The 16 Days of Activism is a global annual campaign held from 25th of November to 10th of December, dedicated to raising awareness about gender-based violence and pushing for its eradication. It brings together governments, civil society and ordinary people to take a stand against violence. In South Africa, gender-based violence and femicide has been declared as a national disaster. Nazneen Ismail reports for more on this.
South Africa is well into the 2025 16 Days of Activism, a United Nations campaign running until the 10th of December. This year's observance carries a new urgency after South Africa used the G20 summit to declare gender-based violence and femicide as a national disaster.
A few days ago, we actually classified gender-based violence and femicide as a disaster. It's a national disaster. A national disaster that should make all the men in our country drop our heads in shame, drop our heads in sorrow. But I'm glad to be here because I see men who have chosen to come here to raise their heads in commitment, to raise their heads in determination to bring an end to gender-based violence, and I applaud you for that.
The global theme, Unite, Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls, calls for stronger investment in prevention, protection, and survivor-centered support. South Africa's theme, Let's Simmer, Men, Women, Boys, and Girls Working Together, reinforces collective action with a major focus this year on combating digital gender-based violence and femicide, including cyberbullying, online harassment, and harmful content targeting women and girls. Government, civil society, and the private sector continue to host marches, dialogues, and community outreach programs as part of the global Orange the World movement, which symbolizes hope and a future free from violence. This year marks the 27th anniversary of the campaign, which continues to shed light on the deep social, psychological, and economic scars left by gender-based violence and femicide. Government is continuing to roll out the Emergency Response Action Plan, first announced in 2019 as part of its broader 365 Days of Activism program.
It's not a 16-day campaign, it's a 365-day campaign. And, Teddy Bear Foundation and many other civil society organizations with government departments go out into the disadvantaged communities, the hotspot areas, making people understand what gender-based violence and femicide means, making them aware of their rights, their responsibilities, the reporting structures, the referral pathways, the resources that exist out there where they can get some kind of support and protection.
As South Africa confronts gender-based violence and femicide as a national disaster, the message remains clear. We can only stop it if we stand together. For DD India, South Africa, I'm Nazneen. Let's speak up, show up, and build a nation where every woman and every child lives without fear.
You're watching DD India News. We're waiting for a short break, but after the break, India achieved 50% of its installed electricity capacity from non-fossil fuel sources. And Namo Ghat becomes new attraction for visitors in Kashi.
In today's episode, let's take a look at what does it truly mean to eat sustainably.
We add the already colonized mycelium into this ecosystem for basically helping the ecosystem to thrive more.
We're a public institution. Our goal is to grow vegetables.
Some urban areas already combine city and rural elements. Our urban agriculture programs are designed to tackle food security and meet the nutritional needs of the poor.
If you're prepared to love the land and the animals, and don't see living such a life as making a sacrifice, then this is the right profession for you.
After gaining some knowledge about farming, I told myself, let's quit this and start our own business. And I decided to start goat farming.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurates 125 BRO infrastructure projects in Ladakh, calls it a major achievement for BRO and centers unwavering commitment towards strengthening border infrastructure. India's air service regulator DGCA issues show-cause notice to IndiGo CEO and its accountable manager over flight chaos, asks for a reply within 24 hours. 25 dead in fire at a club in Goa. FIR lodged against owner and general manager of the club. Magisterial probe also ordered. Hong Kong votes in legislative election today amid anger over deadly fire. So that was a quick relook at the top stories. We'll get to other updates we are tracking this hour. Former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, while speaking at the Doha Forum in Qatar, said that she is quite concerned about US President Donald Trump's second-term foreign policy. She argued that it marks a shift away from what she called core American values. Hillary Clinton also accused Trump of effectively supporting Russia by rarely criticizing President Putin and pressurizing Kyiv towards a ceasefire deal.
For example, supporting Russia's invasion of Ukraine, both in an affirmative way by very rarely criticizing Putin for the brutal war that he has waged on the Ukrainian people, and then, attempting to try to coerce the Ukrainians into accepting a negotiated ceasefire and peace deal that would be, by any objective measure, leaving them vulnerable to further Russian activity. Remember, Russia has been in Ukraine since 2014, so this didn't start in 2022.
Shifting focus to Asia Pacific, Hong Kong's citizens began voting on Sunday in an election where the focus is on turnout, with residents grieving and traumatized after the city's worst fire in nearly 80 years and the authorities scrambling to avoid a broader public backlash. The city is holding elections for the Legislative Council, in which only candidates vetted as patriots by the China-backed Hong Kong government may run. The legislature elections in Hong Kong used to feature boisterous clashes between pro-Beijing and pro-democracy camps, with the latter often winning around 60% of the popular vote. But in 2020, Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law after the city was roiled by huge and sometimes violent pro-democracy protests. Beijing overhauled Hong Kong's electoral system in 2021 to ensure only patriots could hold office and slashed by the number of directly elected seats. Sri Lankan authorities issued fresh landslide warnings on Sunday, with rains lashing areas already devastated by a powerful cyclone as the death toll rose to 618. More than 2 million people, nearly 10% of the population, have been affected by last week's floods and landslides triggered by Cyclone Ditwa, the worst on the island this century. The Disaster Management Center said monsoon storms were adding more rain and making hillsides unstable, including the central mountainous region and the northwestern Midlands. Helicopters and planes were being used on Sunday to supply communities cut off by landslides in the center of the country. The Sri Lanka Air Force said that it had received a plane load of relief supplies from Myanmar on Sunday, the latest batch of foreign aid. The government has confirmed 618 dead, 464 from the lush tea-growing central region, while 209 people remain unaccounted for. More than 75,000 homes were damaged, including close to 5,000 that were completely destroyed. Nepal sets new cash transaction limit. Transactions above 500,000 rupees have to be done mandatorily through the banking system. This step will curb money laundering and strengthen financial transparency. The move is aimed at aligning Nepal with international anti-money laundering standards and helping the country avoid being placed on the Financial Action Task Force's grey list. Earlier, individuals could carry out cash transactions of up to 1 million rupees, but from 19th of January next year, any payment or receipt exceeding 500,000 rupees must go through the formal banking system. This will discourage the circulation of undeclared money in the economy and tax evasion. Let's get to business updates now. While the U.S. Federal Reserve's final interest rate meeting this year could see an unusual amount of division, financial markets view a third straight interest rate cut as nearly certain. When the Fed last met in October, Chair Jerome Powell asserted that another rate cut in December was not a foregone conclusion, pointing to strongly differing views within the central bank. But recent comments from leading Fed officials also reflected support for cutting again because of a weakening labor market, even though inflation is still above the Fed's 2% target. Next week's outcome in the deeply divided Fed was too close to call, UniCredit said, also acknowledging that favorable comments from New York Fed Bank Chief John Williams towards a cut were a notable intervention, in fact. U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to take government equity stakes in strategic industries does not apply to major defense firms. The government wants industry to make investments in facilities, and large contractors are expected to be able to do this without government assistance. In August, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that the Trump administration was weighing equity stakes in major defense contractors, including Lockheed Martin, a move that sent shares of Lockheed, Boeing, and other defense firms higher. Trump said that the government will take stakes in more companies. U.S. President Trump hosted actor Sylvester Stallone and several other celebrities for a White House dinner on Saturday, following a day of presenting Kennedy Center honors to leading figures in film and music. Trump, who skipped Kennedy Center events during his first term, has shown renewed interest in the institution during his second term. In remarks at the White House, Trump praised Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and border czar Tom Homan for coordinating the recent National Guard deployments to New Orleans, Memphis and Chicago. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Nobel Prize laureates in medicine Mary Brankow, Fred Ramsell and Shimon Sakaguchi said that they hope their work helps to advance treatment for autoimmune disease and cancer. The three scientists will be presented with their prizes at a ceremony at the Stockholm Concert Hall on Wednesday. It will be followed by a royal reception at the City Hall later in the evening. United States Geological Survey captured lava spewed from Hawaii's Kilauea volcano. The USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory said that the north vent of the volcano had shown heightened activity and increasing spattering events, while the south vent had a moderate glow overnight. Low to moderate tremors were also recorded during the eruption. And people packed an anti-ice training session in Brooklyn, New York, where organizers urged attendees to film every encounter with immigration and customs enforcement. The event, hosted by the grassroots Hands Off Coalition, was held amid growing fears of escalating immigration raids, giving participants a feeling of empowerment. Approximately 62 artifacts connected to indigenous peoples of Canada that had been in the Vatican's possession for a century arrived at Montreal's airport. Pope Leo gifted the objects to Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops following a meeting earlier this year with their representatives. Catholic missionaries sent the artifacts to Rome on the occasion of a 1925 exhibition held by Pope Pius XI that displayed more than 1 lakh objects. And back home, Union Minister of State for Civil Aviation Muralidhar Mohol on Sunday said that the government is closely monitoring the disruptions caused by IndiGo over the past week. He said that the flight duty time limitations order has been postponed till February next year, and a show cause notice has also been issued to the IndiGo CEO.
4 लोगों की एक जांच समिति हमने अपॉइंट करी है। उसके बाद 24/7 एक कंट्रोल रूम तैयार किया गया है। ये सब पहले जैसी सेवा शुरू हो, इसलिए FTDL का जो आदेश था उसको फरवरी 2026 तक हमने स्थगित कर दिया है। DGCA ने IndiGo के CEO को कल ही शोकॉज नोटिस दिया है। 24 आवर्स में उसका आंसर देना, इसलिए उनको बोला है और उनको नोटिस भी इशू किया है।
The minister also assured that the government has taken immediate action against the airline for failing to comply with the FDTL.
जो लोगों को तकलीफ हुई है, परेशानी हुई है, जिन्होंने टिकट बुक किया था, पैसे दिए थे, हमने ये भी सूचना दी है IndiGo के कि विदाउट एनी कैंसिलेशन फी चार्जेस को यहाँ पे न लेते हुए प्रवासी जो है हमारे, उनके पैसे वापस दिए जाए। जो उनका लगेज है, बैगेज हो, 48 आवर्स के अंदर उनको मिले। ऐसे बहुत सारे निर्णय हमने इमीडिएटली ले लिए है। इस बारे में सरकार बिल्कुल गंभीरता से विचार कर रही है। जो जांच कमेटी अपॉइंट किए, उसका रिपोर्ट आने के बाद बिल्कुल उस पर कार्रवाई भी होगी।
India's aviation regulator, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, on Saturday issued a show cause notice to IndiGo CEO Peter Elbers and accountable manager Isidro Porqueras amid ongoing flight cancellations and delays across the country. The regulator has given them 24 hours to respond, warning that failure to do so will invite strict punitive action. Meanwhile, IndiGo has reported strong progress in restoring its operations following recent disruptions. In a press statement, the airline said that the cancellations have decreased, on-time performance has improved, and customers are being informed earlier about any schedule changes. On Saturday, the government has stepped in to rein in the soaring airfares amid the massive disruption in IndiGo operations. For the first time since COVID, airfare caps have been reimposed. IndiGo, in a statement, said that it cancelled over 800 flights on Saturday, much lower than Friday's number of more than
Taking a serious view of unusually high airfares being charged during the ongoing IndiGo crisis, Ministry of Civil Aviation has invoked its regulatory powers to cap ticket prices across the affected routes. The move aims to prevent opportunistic pricing and protect passengers from financial exploitation. The fare caps will remain in force till IndiGo restores operations to pre-crisis levels, now expected by December 15th. To help the airline stabilize, the government has temporarily kept new pilot duty norms on hold. The ministry has also issued strict directions to IndiGo to clear all pending passenger refunds without delay. Refunds for all cancelled and disrupted flights must be fully processed by 8 p.m. on Sunday, December 7th. Airlines have also been told not to charge any rescheduling fees. Any delay or violation will invite immediate regulatory action. Dedicated passenger support and refund facilitation cells are being set up. IndiGo has also been directed to trace and deliver any separated baggage to passengers within the next 48 hours. As a result, normalcy has now begun to be restored at various airports, including at airports in Jaipur, Pune, Chennai, Delhi, Coimbatore, Varanasi, Birsa Munda Airport in Ranchi, among others. Additional counters of IndiGo were made operational to expedite rescheduling and cancellation for passengers at Ranchi Airport. Later in the evening, IndiGo, in a statement, said it is working to bring its operations back on track across the network. Besides, airlines also added that it is addressing all customer refunds on priority. The airline said the number of cancellations has dropped to below 850 flights, lower than on Friday. IndiGo, which operates around 2,200 flights daily, cancelled more than 1,000 flights on Friday. To manage the surge of stranded passengers, South Central Railway has announced 4 special trains. The Aviation Ministry says it remains in constant coordination with all stakeholders to ensure passenger safety, support, and convenience during this disruption. Taposh Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
IndiGo is slowly regaining its footing after a major operational crisis that left thousands of passengers stranded across India. Let us know more about it through this pipeline. Up on your screens, we'll get you the details.
Phase 2 of DGCA's flight duty time limitation rules takes effect. Through November, IndiGo cuts many flights, citing new constraints as new FDTL norms bite. On December 3rd, at least 150 flights were cancelled at major airports including Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bengaluru and Kolkata. On December 4, more than 550 flights of the airline, which holds 60% of the domestic aviation market, were cancelled. IndiGo issues heartfelt apology on December 4th. Airports report hours-long queues and stranded passengers. On December 5, statement comes from Minister of Civil Aviation Ram Mohan Naidu on IndiGo service disruption. A high-level probe was announced. As the disruption enters its 5th day, 400-plus flights remain cancelled across major airports. DGCA serves a show-cause notice to IndiGo CEO Peter Elbers, seeking an explanation within 24 hours. Ministry of Civil Aviation has noted concerns about high airfares from certain airlines amid the disruption. The caps will remain in force until the situation fully stabilizes. Under the new cap, airlines cannot charge more than Rs 7,500 for routes up to 500 kilometers, Rs 12,000 for 500 to 1,000 kilometers, Rs 15,000 for 1,000 to 1,500 kilometers, Rs 18,000 for routes above 1,500 kilometers. Government directs IndiGo must complete all pending passenger refunds by 8 p.m. on Sunday, December 7. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan attended the Silver Jubilee celebrations of Brahma Kumari's Om Shanti Retreat Center in Gurugram on Sunday. Speaking at the event, the Vice President highlighted the role of Brahma Kumaris in bringing peace and spiritual awakening to millions of people globally.
The Brahma Kumaris have played a commendable role in continuing this great tradition. You have brought peace, purity and spiritual awakening to the searching souls and the minds of millions of people in Bharat and abroad. I appreciate the tireless service of the Brahmakumaris.
The Delhi government launched the AI Grind Challenge on Sunday. The inauguration ceremony took place at the Central Park in the presence of Indian Air Force Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla and Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta. The Chief Minister lauded the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi for establishing a new global identity in the field of AI, technology and innovation. Speaking at the event, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla shared his experience in space and highlighted the role of artificial intelligence and space technology. He also urged youngsters to contribute towards realizing the goal of Viksit Bharat by 2047.
हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी हमेशा देश को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए उच्चतम टेक्निक्स जो सबसे हाईएस्ट लेवल की टेक्नोलॉजी है उसको देश में लाने के लिए हमेशा प्रयासरत रहते हैं और इसीलिए जब हमारे केंद्र ने ये सोचा कि दिल्ली को देश को एआई पे लेके जाना होगा तब दिल्ली ने भी तुरंत ये सोचा कि जब पूरा देश इसकी सोच रहा हो तो हम सबसे पहले अपना कदम आगे बढ़ाएं।
एआई जो है वो हर एक एस्पेक्ट में इट इज इंग्रेन्ड like I was saying AI is a tool to do things, tool to accomplish things, whether it is earth observation, whether it is conducting science on station, whether it is reducing the workload on the astronauts. Everywhere AI is being used extensively now. These are the areas where we need to focus and concentrate on. This is what will get us to our dream of Viksit Bharat 2047.
India has already achieved 50% of its installed electricity capacity from non-fossil fuel sources, 5 years ahead of the target set under its nationally determined contributions to the Paris Agreement. As of 31st October this year, the installed capacity from non-fossil fuel sources stands at about 259 gigawatt, with 31.2 gigawatt added in the current financial year up to October 2025. At several places, it is being reported that Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has issued advisory to lenders to pause fresh financing to renewable energy projects amid significant overcapacity concerns. It is hereby clarified that the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has not issued any advisory to financial institutions for stopping lending to either renewable energy power projects or to the renewable energy equipment manufacturing facilities. Namo Ghat has now become a new attraction for visitors in Kashi. The Kashi Tamil Sangamam has been organized at the Ghat. Various stalls have been set up and artists from both Kashi and Tamil Nadu are presenting cultural performances at the Kashi Tamil Sangamam. Members of the group of writers who have come from Tamil Nadu said that this event represents India's rich heritage and its vision to make India developed by 2047 and also unity in diversity. And now we take a look at sports updates. We'll talk of hockey first. Eyeing to reclaim the crown after 9 years, the Indian men's hockey team will have to raise its game by leaps and bounds if it hopes to get past 7 times champions and title holders Germany in the semi-final of the FIH Junior World Cup in Chennai on Sunday. 2-time champions India last won the title way back in 2016 in Lucknow. PR Srijesh coached side faced their first real test against Belgium in the quarterfinals. India had to dig deep into their reservoir to eke out a 4-3 shootout win against Belgium after both the sides were locked 2 each at the end of the regulation time. It took a superlative effort from goalkeeper Prince Deep Singh to keep India in the hunt. Indian shooters produced a strong show in the women's 10 meters air pistol final at the ISSF Junior World Cup final in Qatar. Suruchi Singh clinched the gold while her compatriot Sayam secured a silver medal in Doha. Suruchi, competing in her first World Cup final, delivered a clinical performance to post 245.1 points, setting a new junior world record. The 19-year-old Indian shooter held her nerve in the closing shots, including multiple scores above 10.5. Sayam, meanwhile, led Suruchi in the early and middle stages. However, Suruchi pulled ahead decisively in the final stages. Sayam finished with 243.3 points, securing the silver medal. In the men's 10 meters air pistol event, Samrat Rana looked in contention for gold until his penultimate shot pushed him to the bronze medal. The full schedule of the 2026 World Cup was announced in Washington, D.C., with the 48 participating nations finding out the venues and kickoff times for their matches. Argentina will begin their title defense against Algeria in Kansas before heading south to Dallas to take on Austria and Jordan. 2022 runners-up France will have to brave the afternoon heat in New Jersey as they renew their rivalry with Senegal. The tournament will kick off on June 11th with joint hosts Mexico playing South Africa, with the final scheduled on 19th of July. The 48 teams were divided into 12 groups of 4 to produce a mammoth 104-match schedule across 16 cities in the US, Canada and Mexico. As Christmas is just around the corner and the festivities have already begun, California's Altadena Christmas tree lane lit up again, restoring a 105-year-old tradition dimmed since the destructive Eaton fire last January. Volunteers restrung more than 20,000 bulbs along the mile of historic Doordarshan as a reminder that hope can outshine even the toughest year. Let's take a look. With that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. Now, this app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.